If it's not you yet, maybe your parents are in that path right now. So you guys will understand like how much do you need and how expensive that could be for someone, right? We've talked about legacy planning, estate planning as well, and we're going to touch that subject before the end of the year again. And we'll talk about investing today. So let's talk about how to maximize your savings growth. And I wanted to start with some basic concepts. Okay, basic concepts, because I know for some people, those basic, when things are rough out there, when things are happening, and we don't understand where to go, sometimes most people say go back to the basics, right? And going back to the basics always works. They say it for a reason, right? So there's a couple of things here that I want to talk about. The basic concepts and ideas for savings. Most people always ask me, how do you make a budget? And everyone has a formula. Everyone's formula is different. If you heard Dave Ramsey, if you heard, what's her name? The other, Susan, right? Susie Orman. Then everyone has a way of going about this, right? This is the way that we decided to go about. We wanted to split things in 4 different categories. Your fixed expenses, which you should know, those fixed expenses usually don't change, okay? And I say usually don't change because some of them do change maybe once a year. Like your insurance might increase on the house, right? Drastically. Or, taxes or things like that. But when you do have a mortgage, that's a fixed payment unless you go refinance and take money out. That should be a fixed payment in your budget, right? Loans, any personal loans, any car loans. Do car loans increase? No, they usually stay the same. As long as you continue to pay, they will remain until you actually pay that off or you refinance that loan, right? Utility bills, they're pretty steady, right? Most people opt for getting an average payment for the year. I've seen that happen with a lot of our clients. A lot of you guys actually have decided to take one average payment for the entire year across the board, and then you don't have that swing up and down during the summer and a slow down in the winter and so on and so forth. Insurance, like I mentioned. Variable expenses. We all got to eat, so we all have to go purchase groceries, and that's where we actually feel inflation the most, right? How many of you agree with me when I say, hey, groceries are too expensive nowadays? The government doesn't want us to eat, right? Especially eggs, right? Well, I have news for you. Eggs have dropped down. The eggs had an increase of like 70% last year, and then they dropped drastically. If you pay attention to it now, prices are stabilizing in some areas. I'm not saying everywhere, but in some areas that is already happening. But groceries are variable, especially because some people like to eat a steak. Other people don't eat a steak. They just eat grain or whatever. Transportation, gas, increasing again. We saw a peak last year in June, and it went down, and then it's kind of going back up, right? Medical bills can get expensive. They can vary depending on what you guys are doing, right? Home or car repairs, also variable. You don't know what to expect, and that's why we should have some emergency money at times, right? Then there are the wants. This one I like, because everyone likes the wants. The electronics. How many of you love electronics? You got to have it, right? And a lot of people will place that in actually a fix or, a variable, or they will place it into a must-have need. I need that to survive. I cannot survive without a cell phone or computer or so on and so forth. And it's almost true, guys. I mean, nowadays, you without a cell phone it's pretty rough out there, right? So we kind of need it, but it's still a want, because then you can choose from a plethora of different devices. And if you want to add the iPad and the Surface or whatever else you want, touchscreen, or the iWatch or whatever, then that could get very expensive. Eating out has gotten drastically, outrageously expensive, right? Going out for a couple, especially now in Miami, could throw you up there in the $150, $200, depending on what restaurant you picked. Okay, and if you're doing a glass of wine or you're not doing wine, That's also a different. So eating out, those are the ones that we need to watch out. In those rough times when inflation is high, the ones is where we need to start, dropping the expenses. And I know that everyone hates to do that, by the way. Me too. Especially when it comes to vacation and traveling. Because everyone wants to go on vacation. We work hard. We deserve the vacation, right? But then we got to be smart about it. How much am I going to spend? Can I negotiate any deals, right? And so there are some ideas in every category that we can talk about, right? Rent and mortgages. No one keeps you from going to negotiate your rent with your landlord if you're renting. You could also negotiate for how long do they keep the prices steady, especially in this market where rent has been going up drastically, right? You could pay it up front and negotiate a lower price. So you could come up with ideas on how to negotiate those things. You could also go and look for more affordable insurance. Yeah, you could increase deductibles. That is a risk, but if you are good with it, I've seen some people dropping the insurance on their house as soon as they pay it off. Okay? It's not for everybody. Some people, I see some heads nodding. I see some people saying, yes, I will do that. Some people say, no, I live in Florida and Hurricane Irma or whichever Wilma or, will come by and then I'm going to regret that, right? But some people do. And there are ways to actually look into how to spend less money month to month, right? Now, there's the other category, the one that no one ever looks at, by the way. That's the one that we live there forgotten on the shelf, right? Which is the goals. Most people don't ever, start putting money away and don't make it part of a budget. And we've noticed something. I've been here 15 years doing the same job with Mauro and Sebastian and Fabian and the guys. And what I've seen over years, over time, is most people don't ever make their goals part of their budget, though. For some reason, we human beings are weird. And we think that those goals are going to happen out of the blue. Out of the blue, we're going to hit a jackpot and we're going to have enough money to go buy more real estate, to go start investing, to go do college planning. But we rarely create a plan or make it part of a budget so that we can consistently put money away for those goals, right? Now, for most of you, if you're in this room, you guys did something right. Because you guys probably did put away some money for your retirement. You probably got into some real estate as well, right? But a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have that behavior. And it has to do with the fact that most of us lack of discipline, okay? I'm going to give you an example, and I think everyone will identify yourself with this example if that is the case, or you at least know somebody in this position, all right? How many of you have your car paid off? How many of you already paid off your car? No car bill, right? Now, because you guys are here, and I know that all of you know about this goal thing that I'm talking about, and you guys are proactive about it. Most of you, the minute that you stop paying that car bill, you started saving that money, right? You started putting those $300, $400, $500, $600 away somewhere, right? How many of you started doing it the next month after you paid off your bill? 2 people, 3 people, all right. The rest of you, I guess, didn't do it. Where does that money go? I've always wondered, where does that money go? Eating out. Travel.
I invested the money.
Investing, okay. There's a person that invests the money. That's good. Some people will say it goes to my kids, right? I will say that too. But yeah, when we don't have a plan, when we don't have that budget set or that mindset, we will not go into investing or trying to build more wealth, right? Now, for some people, that's important. For some other people, it's more important. It's more about the quality of living, right? So I go out more. I spend more time traveling and more money traveling. I'm going to spend more quality and money with my kids and stuff. and that is completely fine. But the intention is that if you have some goals in here, you should assign some money for that. One of those goals could be legacy planning for most of you. Hey, I want to leave some money to my, future generations. So that, people say that money is not everything in life, but I always tell people it is very close to oxygen nowadays. Try going a year without money. Let's see how that goes, right? Try a month. It's pretty tough. Let me tell you, it's pretty tough, right? It is not everything. I agree, but it's important. And money, what it is actually a tool that facilitates everything else in your life. So money doesn't buy you happiness, but it does buy you the ticket on vacation with your family, which will make you happy, right? Money doesn't buy you health, but it does buy you the food and the doctor visits and the supplements you might need to get healthy. So it's important to have that mindset of, hey, what is money good for? And how am I going to use this tool to my advantage? When I forget about it, then it's done. And then there's another concept that I wanted to share with you guys that I thought it was important, which is the SMART goal concept. Probably you guys already heard about it. But if you haven't, then it's a good time to actually pay attention to this, right? And it applies to everything in life. So the SMART concept is having goals that are specific, number one. Okay? So, hey, I want to go on vacation. Me too. But what kind of vacation? Vacation could be staying one day in Hollywood Beach, or vacation could be I want to go to Europe for 10 days. So be specific about what goals you want. Hey, I want more real estate. What do you want? Commercial real estate? Rental real estate? What type of real estate do you want? Land? Just plain land? I don't know. Be specific about it. Where do you want it? How much are you going to spend on it? What's going to be the return on it as well, right? Because if I'm making an investment, it should make sense, doesn't it? A lot of the times we don't do that stuff. A lot of the times it's all emotional. So be specific about those goals. Measurable. So let's make sure that it's something that we can measure, though. Hey, I want to lose weight. All right. How often am I going to go and weigh myself and see the progress that's happening on it? Because if I'm not seeing any progress and I'm not writing it down, then it's not going to happen. Not measuring anything, truly. Attainable. Let's be honest. I want to be taller. Can I get taller from one day to another? I could go to the doctor, get some, implants or, increase some way somehow, but is it attainable, right? Can I actually achieve that, right? So this is important when you're setting goals. Now, not just for you, but for your family as well. Share it with the people that you love. Share it with the people that you know. It might come handy. You never know. Relevant. Is this something that actually applies to myself? Or is this something that I'm getting involved into because of my brother, my sister, my partner, or somebody else? Is it relevant to me? If it has to do with business, if it has to do with investments, is it relevant to our situation right now? Okay? Why am I saying this? And this, I'm going to make a stop right here. You guys have no idea how many people have come to ask me. You guys have no idea how many people have come to ask me about Bitcoin. What other ventures out there? Right? Dogecoin, Ethereum, whatever, all crypto money, right? And people that are in retirement. Is this relevant to you, or you just want to get on the bandwagon because everybody else is doing it? So it's irrelevant to me. Hey, my neighbor just made whatever, 10,000, 20,000 with crypto. Okay, fine. My neighbor is 20 years old, doesn't have a family, doesn't care if crypto crashes, then he's got another 40 years of working. I'm 60, I'm about to retire. Do I want to put $20,000, $50,000 into that stuff? I don't know. And then you go into the news and then see this guy is coming out. Money got lost. Your retirement is lost. Sorry. Yeah, you know. So it's irrelevant. Hey, everyone during the pandemic started doing trading, day trading. You guys probably heard about that. You guys probably wanted to join, right? Some of you wanted to go, okay, yeah, let me see if I can trade at my house. And some people did get it, and some people started doing it seriously. And we do have some clients that actually got into it, did the studying, realized that it's not as simple as it seems. It's not a 2-hour thing, a day. But then they dedicated themselves and they're doing trading. Great for them. Is that going to be everybody? Not necessarily. Then I have some other clients that decided to go trading, set up some accounts, bought some positions, forgot about them, came and saw me a week ago or 2 weeks ago. The accounts are down 80%, 60%, 70% on some positions because they never pulled the trigger. Are they going to come back up? Yeah. Some of them might. Some of them might not. Because throughout the pandemic, some stuff really spiked up. Do you want to know, do you remember 2000? In the 2000s, we had the bubble burst, the tech bubble burst, right? Do you remember, does anybody know how much was the Yahoo stock back then? It was a lot, though. It had a huge spike. It went down, and it has never, ever come back. And I know that because I have a client that owned Yahoo, and she bought it right at the peak. So she's never going to recover. And I know that sucks. It's irrelevant to me, right? So when you're making those decisions, when you're setting up those goals, when you're setting up that plan, make sure that it's relevant to your situation. Hey, but my son told me to get into this. Well, your son is probably like 25 to 30 years younger than you in another position. Doesn't work the same way. And then time-based, right? Let's put a time frame to those goals. I'm going to do this in X time frame, right? And like I said, if you're losing weight, hey, I'm going to be in the next 3 months, I'm going to drop 10 pounds or whatever. I don't know. You guys, make it so that it works for you. But give it a time, because when you don't give it a time, then it never happens. It's like that trip that you said that you were going to take, and you have never taken, because you never put a time frame on it. You never said, all right, it's happening next February or next March or whatever it is. So put a time on that, okay? I know that this has not a lot to do with finances, but I think it has a lot to do with life, and therefore it has everything to do with your finances, all right? Let's talk about investments now, because this is what you guys came to hear, right? So investments, let's talk about the 3 buckets concept. We love this bucket concept. I don't know why. All financial advisors talk about the buckets, right? And there are 3 major buckets that we always speak about and we talk about here in Guerra Financial. The first bucket, we call it the emergency funds bucket, okay? Everybody should have an emergency funds bucket. That emergency funds bucket should have 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses. Now, some people decide to have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses on the high lifestyle, high-end life that you have in Miami. So $10,000 a month, $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, and you have $60,000 sitting there because you're not going to give up that lifestyle. But the truth is, you and I know that when things get rough, you start carving out your expenses and you start cutting out stuff, right? So I usually tend to tell people, make 2 types of budget. Make your survival budget and make your life budget. Your survival budget is when things get tough and we got to cut expenses. That survival budget is the one that you want to multiply times 3 or 6. That's what's going to get you through those 3 or 6 months if you need to. And you always want to keep that in somewhere where you can have quick access to. Now, the instruments in that bucket, they do bear interest rate risk. What is interest rate risk? Do interest rates stay the same forever and ever? No, right? 2 years ago, did a savings account pay any interest on it? Nowadays, you got Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, anybody calling you, texting you, telling you to come visit them because they have a CD that's paying how much? 4%, 5%, right? And then you wonder, where were you 3 years ago? Where were you 2 years ago? Where were you a year and a half or a year ago? You know, it's just happening now because interest rates change constantly. Who makes that decision though? Do you or does the government make that decision? The government. So you have to bear that risk. Whenever the government feels like increasing interest rates, they're going to. Whenever they feel like lowering them, they're going to. Right now, take advantage. We have a good interest rate environment, very high for those instruments. So we got some high yield savings accounts that banks are offering that pay 4% or 5%. We have some money markets. We have some CDs. Yeah, I love that one. I got money under the mattress, right? It's usually, some people do. The only problem with that one, is that it doesn't grow under the mattress. So if you do have money in there under the mattress, or you have money in cash in a safe box, because some people have evolved, not the mattress anymore. Let's take it to a safe box in the bank. It's a little bit better in there. The point of having that money in there must be that you're going to use that money within the next 6 to 12 months. Otherwise, that money is bearing another risk that I didn't list in here. Do you know what risk is that one? Inflation risk. Because everything keeps increasing in price. If your money is not growing, what's happening to your money? It's losing value. So keeping that money under the mattress or keeping that money in a safe box is losing you money, basically, without you knowing. It's a silent killer. It breaks your money in half every 20 years in average. So in other words, $200,000 20 years ago is currently the equivalency to $100,000, basically. Okay? So and think about it, $200,000 20 years ago is 2023, so 2003, right? $200,000 in 2003. You remember what would you do with $200,000 in 2003? Yeah? What would you do with $100,000 today?
Not much.
Not a whole lot. So if you kept money in there, you're losing money. Then we got the growth, and I call this the managed risk, right? Some people don't manage the risk, but we do manage the risk for our clients. So that's the growth and managed risk bucket. On that bucket, we do bear other risks, such as the market risk, because the stock market goes up and down depending on what's going on, right? We got stocks, we got mutual funds, we got exchange traded funds, and then we got high risk speculative trading as options or futures, or some people that want to involve crypto in their portfolio, or other stuff like that. The intention of this bucket is pure growth. Now, growth doesn't happen overnight. How many of you have planted a tree in your life? How many of you have done that? Well, number one, I want to thank you because you're helping the world somehow. But the point that I wanted to get to was, how long did it take for you to actually see that tree grow? Years, right? Money doesn't grow overnight. If anybody tells you I got the formula to make money grow overnight, I'm telling you, run away. Okay? Because it's probably something illegal.
In that pocket, you are thinking about IRA or something like that?
So those are type of different plans, and that has to do with taxation. We're going to talk about that next. That's a good point. We're talking about the investments, right? But in this bucket, everything that you put in here, think of it as it's going to continue to grow, but I'm going to have to give it what? Some time. I'm going to have to give it some time. And sometimes you could get impatient. I have an avocado tree in the backyard of my house. I love when I see the avocados coming through, but throughout the year, I'm looking at that tree like if it's gonna happen tomorrow. And I know it's not gonna happen because there's a season on it, right? But we are human beings, and that's regular behavior, okay? Now, when we do handle this bucket, when we do work with our clients handling this bucket, it's a lot of education that we do, it's a lot of hand-holding that we do, and it's a lot of explaining of what's going on and how do we optimize the investments inside this bucket, okay? And that's why you guys hire us as financial advisors. There's a third bucket, the low-risk income bucket, okay? So something that has lower risk and usually provides income. And we use that bucket for people that are retiring or for people that want to lower some risk, okay? A lot of advisors will consider bonds as a low risk, okay? In today's interest rate environment, bonds are not a low risk because they have lost a lot of money over the last 2 years. I'll show you that in a second, okay? But they are definitely lower risk than stocks or any other speculative investment, okay? So a lot of advisors' approach will be to break your portfolio into some equity and provide some growth and some bonds to provide some stability or some income, because bonds do provide a lot of income sometimes, depending on the type of bond that you buy, all right? But then you have to bear that interest rate risk, right? And people that purchase bonds a few years ago, now with those interest rates increase, have lost money, have lost value. They might still keep the income though. They might still have some income coming out of those bond portfolios, but the value of the portfolio keeps going down. So they get the dividends or they get the payout of the interest every 6 months, but the value of the portfolio keeps going down. I've seen that a lot over the last 2 years, okay? Then there are annuities. Now, there are annuities that are variable. We don't touch those because annuities are, if they're variable, they got a lot of fees, and we don't want to use them. But there are fixed annuities and fixed index annuities, though. There are some fixed annuities that are paying 4 or 5% and guaranteeing 4 or 5% for the next 3 years or 5 years, you know? And there are some index annuities, and some of you might have some index annuities, you know, that allow you to track one of the indexes of the market, and they protect you. If the index doesn't perform, then you don't lose money. If the index performs, then you grow your money, okay? Up to 8%, 10%, whatever they allow you to grow that money to. And then there's some other instruments that we also use for retirement planning, which are the life insurance retirement plans, is what we call it, LIRPs, okay? And basically what you use is a life insurance policy as a chassis, and then you deposit money into it, and then you're gonna get income afterwards. And the reason why we use it is because it's tax-free. And if anything happens on the way to my retirement, then my family gets a big chunk of money, way bigger than what I put into it, okay? So those are investment buckets for you. I don't know if you have any questions. I don't know if anybody on the audience has any questions. It looks like not yet, all right? But let's get to the other 3 buckets. Oh, you do?
Question. So if you're stuck in an asset like a REIT or bond that's constantly going down in value but it keeps paying out dividends, what do you do with it?
Well, I think you need to reevaluate the objective. The question is, if everybody heard the question, is what happens if you are stuck in an asset like a REIT or a bond that's going down in value, but it keeps giving you interest or keeps paying you a dividend, right? Then the question at hand is, what is your objective with that instrument? What is your objective with that investment? You know, I have a lot of clients that have come see us with a REIT. And when they were sold a REIT, they told them you're going to get an income from this REIT. And they currently constantly continue to get the income. However, the value of the REIT has gone down. If they don't sell the REIT, they will continue to get the income. But nobody likes to see an asset go down in value. So nobody likes to have 100,000 and then see it 80,000. You still get that monthly, that every 6 months check, right? Being dispersed, but then your value of your account is going down. And then some REITs are illiquid, very illiquid. And bonds, you could sell them, but then you're going to take a loss. If you do take the loss, then what is the objective of that money afterwards? Would be the question. The only way is to actually change that objective and make it a growth objective so that you can recover the money that you lost. But then that will be a conversation for you and the advisor. Okay? Because you're going to get hurt somehow. Right? Or you wait for that asset to come back, which could happen or it could not. How long would it take? I don't have my crystal ball here. Otherwise, I will tell you. You know? But it's usually the way that it goes. And we do have some clients that unfortunately were stuck with REITs and they're not sellable. You can't sell them unless the company that actually created the REIT allows you to sell it. Okay? So it's complex. It's a complex conversation. The other three buckets, and these were the buckets that my friend Antonio was talking about, all right? The taxable buckets, or the tax-free buckets, or the tax-deferred buckets, okay? There are three different types of buckets in terms of taxes. The first one is the one that we all know, taxable buckets. Taxable buckets are investments that typically get taxed as capital gains. Okay? You buy a house, an investment house, for $500,000. You sell it for $600,000. You have $100,000 of capital gains. You get taxed on that $100,000 if it is an investment property. Okay? You buy a stock. You hold it for a year. You sell it afterwards. You make some money. You got capital gains. Okay? You purchase a CD, and the CD is paying you 4%. That 4% is going to be taxable at the end of the year. You're going to get a 1099 from the bank or from the financial institution saying you got to pay taxes on that. Okay? You only pay taxes on the gains on those instruments. Okay? So any investment account that you guys have with us, it's going to be taxed like that. All right? Tax defer. So tax defer is the equivalency to tax postpone. I'm not paying the tax today. I'm going to pay it later. Okay? And back in the day, this made a lot of sense because the intention was, hey, you know what? When you retire, your income will drop and therefore your tax bracket should drop, right? But here's the trick. Do taxes remain to be the same forever and ever, just like interest rates? Or do they change? They do change. So that statement is not entirely true. Maybe your income is less when you retire, but if tax brackets went up, you might end up in the same tax bracket, or even worse. I don't have the answer to that one, neither does the government, because they're still working that out. Okay? Now, tax defer is really effective because most retirement plans, like 401ks, 403bs, 457s, work through this tax defer bucket. Okay? When clients come to see us, most of their assets, guess where are they allocated into? In this bucket. And you want to know why? Is because that is the only bucket where the government said, hey, you can't touch this money until you get to 59 and a half at least. So you had the money, you could see it. It's kind of like when your wife brings that hamburger, she shows it to you, but you can't eat it because you're on a diet, and you can almost taste it. You smell it, you feel it, and you can't have it. It's about the same thing that the government says. And then what the government says is, if you get that money out, then we're going to penalize you and charge you the taxes on top of that before 59 and a half. Now, most people save more money in here specifically for that reason, because someone told them, you can't touch it. Okay? Now, you do invest that money. Oh, yeah, of course. You reinvest the money. And so the money keeps growing and growing, and growing, and then when you decide to take it out, it will be taxed. Okay? Now, I always advise people, if you got a good employer that is matching your retirement plan, okay, that is contributing to your retirement plan, contribute to your retirement plan though. Even if that money is gonna continue to grow, take the money. They're giving you free money, okay? Now, for most people, I've always said, don't go above whatever they match. The only reason why you would go above whatever they match is if you need some tax advantage. And for that, meet with your advisor so that way you can decide whether that makes sense or it doesn't make sense for you, okay? Because every person is different. Every case is different. But you got to understand, this is going to be taxed at some point, and it's going to be taxed at whatever bracket you fall at the time that you start taking that money out. All right? Now, annuities also are tax deferred. So if you put money into an annuity, you're not going to pay taxes on the growth of that annuity until you start taking that money out. All right? People have asked me about that. Yeah.
If you take the annuity and you close it, take it out, and reinvest immediately, do you pay the taxes in that transaction?
That is a very good question. So, when you take an annuity, okay, so let's talk about annuities for a second since you asked that question. The annuity could be an IRA, or it could be a Roth IRA, or it could be just an annuity, okay, right? Yeah, or 403B, which is a retirement plan. So that depends on what type of annuity do you have, right? Now, if it is just a plain annuity, you had $100,000 in the bank sitting in there doing nothing, right? And you wanted to go into this annuity because you wanted to get some income in the future, or you wanted to grow your money over time and get some income later, then you put your money into that annuity. Now, if it is not an IRA or any type of retirement plan, there is something called the 1035 exchange that allows you to get this 150, so the 100 plus the 50 that it grew by, and move it into another annuity if you want to, without having to pay taxes. It's similar to the 1031 exchange in investments, in investment properties, okay? So you carry those taxes for the next investment. When do you pay the taxes? When you start taking money out. So you're just deferring the payment of the taxation. You're not avoiding it, okay? However, maybe later on, your taxation will be less. Or maybe it doesn't stay with you. Maybe you pass to a better life and then you leave it to the kids, and then the kids have to deal with that taxation, right? We don't know. At this point, I don't know anything. I just know that I'm doing this seminar for you guys and trying to give you as much information as I can, okay? I'm just messing around. But that is if it's just a plain annuity. If it is a 403B or an IRA or a 401k or any of a 457, because now the 457s from the state of Florida are allowing you to put money into annuities as well, then what you do have is you have a tax defer, and you're going to pay taxes on that money regardless of, today, tomorrow, or when you pass away. Uncle Sam doesn't forget about anybody, okay? He loves us all. Now, there's this third bucket where we all want to live. This is paradise. We all want to have tax-free money, right? Because we all want to cut out Uncle Sam from our gains and our growth and our wealth. Now, tax-free, there's only a handful of instruments that we can use for tax-free benefits. Roth IRA, number one. The problem with the Roth IRA is that there's a threshold of how much you can make and contribute to your Roth IRA. If you're single and you make above $150,000, you cannot put money into a Roth IRA. Okay? If you're married and jointly you make over 228,000, then you cannot contribute to a Roth IRA. If you do, then you get penalized. So basically, you can make money to contribute to a Roth IRA too. Okay. The other plans that we have is the LIRPs, the life insurance, because life insurance is tax-free. Okay. So we use those as a shelter for taxes or to offset taxation in the future. Okay. So life insurance, Roth IRAs, and municipal bonds. So municipal bonds are also tax-free. Now, a lot of people don't like what's going on with the bonds, so they just kind of stay away from those bonds. But municipal bonds, any income that you generate from it will be tax-free as well. Okay? There is treasury bonds and municipal bonds, which are local governments, right? States, counties, so on and so forth, cities. So those are tax-free. Let's talk about performance on the market. So this is kind of like the subject that you all came to talk to me about today, basically, right? And I derailed you from the conversation. I did that on purpose. So, market performance year to date. And this, by the way, this is as of September 30th. Okay, so third quarter of this year, do you guys see what sector is the top performing sector there? It's telecommunications. How much is it up? 40.4% though. Telecommunications. Now, where was telecommunications last year though?
The last one.
It was the last one. And it lost about 39.9%. Where was it the year before? About here. The year before was here, negative 12 in 2018, about negative 1 on 2017, on a positive year. But that's the one that's leading the pack this year, followed by technology. And a lot of people think technology is always going to be there. And technology has been. It's been one of the best performing sectors though. Even though last year and the year before, the energy sector was the top performing one, right? Now, the reason why I like this slide and the reason why I brought this information is because I always like to tell people, hey, you don't know which sector is going to perform better in any given year, right? So a lot of the times, you are better off investing in the index. You see this guy here, the Standard & Poor's, the S&P 500, right? Kind of like in the middle, kind of like more steady, right? A little bit more stable. Does that make sense? Yeah? Now, when we do portfolio construction and when we do management of the portfolios, we do rely a lot on the indexes though, because they gather all those sectors together. And they kind of make an average. So the S&P year to date is being up 13%. Yes, it's not 40% up. It's not 34% like the information technology sector, nor 26% like the consumer discretionary. Okay? But it's 13%. That's not bad, is it? For the year. Now, last year it was down 18.1%. Not a good year to be there either, right? Now, when we do our management of the portfolio, what we try to do is follow indexes and then try to rely on the sectors that we know are performing for the year. Okay? Our portfolio has been, I think, is about 60% to 70% between these three top performing sectors. Okay? We've had technology, we've held technology, and we increased communications early on in the years when we saw that it was performing pretty well. And we saw the performance of the previous year especially. Okay? Because usually everything that comes down will go up. And everything that goes up eventually will come down too. Okay? So we just got to kind of understand where we are. Questions about this? Who will give me the best performing sector ever? Who will take the risk? Anybody? What's the best performing sector since 2008?
Information technology.
Information technology? Yeah? Let's take a look though. This is the annual return. This is the best year, worst year of any sector. Best year of any sector, information technology with 61%. Also, worst year of any sector, information technology with 43, following materials with 45, and well, financials had to do with, do you remember 2008? Pretty bad, huh? Yeah. So interesting. All those sectors have great years, and then they also have really bad years. Okay? Sometimes people come and see us and they ask us, why is the market up 13% and my portfolio is losing money? And why do you think that's happening? What type of portfolio do you currently have? So maybe you are being part of, in a positive year, you're being part of the health sector because you think health is always going to be good. Or maybe you're being part of real estate because you think real estate should be doing pretty good. But the truth is that we conceptualize whatever applies to us. And our vision is only as big as we want it to be. So we only look at what's happening in our city, what's happening in our place where we live, and we don't see the entire picture. And the truth is real estate has come down. Nationwide, it has. Prices have come down. You go to California, you go to Seattle, you go to Utah, you go to other places, prices have come down from the peak last year, though.
No, every market is different.
Not in Miami. Not in Miami. But then you're blindsided because you're just looking at Miami and you think Miami is the rest of the world or is the rest of the U.S. and it's not.
Oh, that is my business. It's not true. No. Miami's down. Like,
It has
not
come
like
down.
Everybody,
Not
but it's down.
Right. It's slowing down, by the way.
Yes.
Yes, it's
Yes.
slowing down.
Yes.
Rent prices have started to come down too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Not by much, but they will continue to come down. That's happening already. So remember, the economical cycles go up and down, and they will happen to every place. So we will go through it too. It's just a matter of time.
We have
And you just got to be
many
prepared
years
for
in
it.
the top.
Yeah.
Supposed to
Yeah.
be going down.
So now, am I going to predict that the real estate market is going to crash and come down? No.
Nobody knows.
No, but I can tell you it's not going to happen that way, right? Because there's still demand. There's still a lot of demand out there. Yeah.
With respect to rent and properties, I live in Dade County, but I also live in Boca, and we're all more or less, and that's Palm Beach County and Dade County. I'm not even talking about Broward. The rentals and the purchase prices are about the same. So
Yeah.
it's not a big difference.
Also,
Usually Boca
so
was more, but now
right.
no.
So all South Florida, it's been on the same boat for the last 2-3 years, by the way. Just so you know, right? Yeah. So all South Florida became really hot during the pandemic. People wanted to move down here, and that's what triggered prices going up. Okay, and in South Florida we also get the internationals, so that's additional. And so the ones that live here, us, we have to suffer that pain of not being able to acquire more real estate because it's very expensive, and people are coming with a lot of money in hand, saying, "Hey, I want to grab that house for more money than you," and then they take it away from you. Okay, but that's happening. Now, my point to this was, if anybody that you know is talking about their portfolio not performing this year, they need to go see an advisor though. Their portfolio is not performing this year because their advisor is not doing their job. Okay, and I'm going to tell you what happens too. Some advisors use the set it and forget it rule. Okay, the set it and forget it rule is that rule where they say, are you a high risk or moderate risk or low risk person? Oh, you're a low risk person. I'm going to put you into a bond bond portfolio, and then that bond portfolio is going to keep you in a conservative rate, right? But guess what? I think I have a slide here, and I'm going to move a little bit faster. But this is the bond market over the last 2 years. You see a difference there? So the stock market being the the very top line went up, went down drastically, but it has come back up somewhat. The bond market is still down. The short-term bond market is still kind of a steady, but the mid-term, the intermediate term, and the long-term, it's going down drastically. So that person that was put into that bond market 2 years ago could have some bonds that are under 23% in the last 2 years, right? And if that advisor hasn't changed anything, that's a problem. When is the bond market going to come back up? When interest rates start decreasing. When is that going to happen? How long is it going to take?
We don't know. Who knows?
We don't know yet because they're still pressing on the gas, increasing it, probably once more before the end of the year. Okay?
Wait to see what happened in the Middle East.
We're going to see. Okay? So we'll see what happens. Now, that bond market also, 5 years. Let's look at that bond market in the 5-year picture, though. These are bonds in the last 5 years. The stock market in the last 5 years is up about 50%, 52%. That's the S&P 500. So it does have huge swings, as you can see here, right? There was a swing in 2018. There was a swing in 2020 with the pandemic, big time. And then there was a huge drop last year. 18% down, right? That's what it closed. You just guys saw it. But it still is positive 50%. Now, the bond market in the last 5 years, I don't know if you see it, but I'll read it to you. Negative 10%, negative 5%, negative 2%. The short term. So the short term is just barely making it.
The pandemic was a good time to make money.
I think every time is a good time to make money.
It was an excellent time.
You know, but it depends on what you're looking at. It all depends.
Every crisis has an opportunity.
Every crisis brings an opportunity. You're 100% right.
And you're going to make money.
Maybe that's the way to go. I would suggest for you to sit down with an advisor and discuss it. Because I don't know if it's relevant to your situation. I can't just shit around saying you should invest in stocks. Hey, whoa, yeah, you know.
What to invest. That's what I'm doing.
That's awesome.
And I'm doing great.
That is amazing, and that is great. And I you know, we got clients that have been making, and I'll show you right now because I wanted to get to this, by the way. Our portfolio, our growth portfolio, up to September is up about 29% from the beginning of the year. Okay? Now, I don't have the crystal ball, though. I don't. We do know that there are some sectors that are performing, have been performing, and will continue to perform for the rest of the year. You know, we kept our chips in that number, right? And then we just play around and circle around other sectors that we see that might be working or might be increasing, right? Like the energy sector, it looks like it's making a comeback, right? So if you guys notice, and I'm going to keep going back and forth here, the energy sector is right underneath the S&P 500. Below the energy sector, everything else, right? But this energy sector, this is the interesting part. The energy sector was negative the first 2 quarters of the year. And it just bounced back drastically in the last 3 months. Okay? Oil prices went up. If you have noticed. Okay? So then it's a good time to go back into that sector maybe. And let's see how is that going to play out. Now, it's very skeptical because of what's going on in the Middle East, right? Everyone is wondering what's going to happen there.
Well,
But our job is to look at what is trending and make sure that we made the best of it, right? Right? So, going back to our portfolio, the portfolio we do manage, we review every 2 weeks and make adjustments to it, okay? buy something here, sell something there, drop sectors, get new sectors. So it doesn't stay put the same way. Now, that doesn't apply to everybody because not everybody is in the growth mode, right? In the growth bucket, what are you going to experience? You're going to experience that roller coaster. It's going to go up and down. And a lot of people, when they see this green with a 29% up, they say, sign me up. That's me. I want it because it's low and it's going up and I'm good. But then when they see the top and then they see the way down, then they don't like it. You know, so you got to make sure that it's relevant to you once again. Talk to your advisor. Make sure that you're in the right place. Sometimes you want to put some money in there because you want to make some money, but then you might want to keep everything else protected. I don't know. You know, depends on what your situation is. I have some clients that are planning to retire in the next year and a half. They're planning to move from the U.S. to another country. And they're wondering, hey, should I put my money into stocks in the market? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's see how you feel about it. Because what if the market takes a downturn and now your money loses money and now it's time to move elsewhere and you got less money than what you expected? Can you make that move? Right? So we have to discuss those things. We got to go deeper into that. Okay? But just some information about that, the bond market. And I wanted to close with, you know, this index strategies, which you are familiar with. Okay? So because interest rates changing, insurance companies have also become a little bit more, I'm going to say, aggressive with the tolerance of growth for their clients. Okay? So in our current environment, we have some companies that are allowing you to track the index, the S&P 500, with a maximum increase or maximum growth of 10%. Okay? Meaning, I want to put my money into a safe thing, and into a safe annuity, a fixed index annuity, and if the index has growth of 13%, then I'm going to hit a 10% or 10.5%, which is what we illustrated there. And I'm going to collect up to 10.5%, no more than that. Hey, Miguel, what if the index goes up to 20%? Sorry for you. You get 10.5 or 10% or whatever that is, right? Now, the good part about that is if the market turns down and that index loses money, then you don't lose money. And so we illustrated that over this 22 years, past 22 years, from 2000 to 2022, for a 60-year-old person. Why did we do that? Because some people want to retire. They want to move that 401k or that 457 or that 403b annuity or decide what to do with that, and they don't want to take risk with their retirement money. They feel like I want to play it safe. I get all you're saying. I see that 29%. It looks very attractive, but you showed me negative 18 last year, Miguel. I don't know if I can withstand that when I'm retired. I don't know if my heart will take it, right? So let me see if I can play it safe and make some money out of that. And we run the market, you know, side to side with what's happening in the market right now compared to having that safe investment and having that 10.5% on growth. And we decided to put $500,000 in this sample, right? So $500 that I'm investing in the stock market, right, directly into the index, following the SPY or following an ETF that tracks the index, right? And $500,000 following a fixed index annuity that tracks the index as well, but has that cap of 10% and has that floor of no losses, right? Year 2000, year 2001, year 2002, market was negative 11, 14, and 24%. I'm sorry, 10, 13, and 23%. That 11, 14, and 24% is because if you're paying a 1% management fee for your advisor, then it becomes that, right? So that $500,000 in that 3-year period became actually $288,000. That's pretty sad. If you're retired, you got it rough.
You
Okay? If you're the advisor, you better hide. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't hide. Okay?
Very lucky.
Now, market bounce back. Yeah, market bounce back. 26% in 2003, and then it bounced back 8% and 3%. By 2007, actually by 2008, right before the crash, that account would have come back to 460,000. So you basically put 500, it went down, and you went back to 460, right? And then you're feeling like, oh, we're getting there. It's back up, right? And all of a sudden, boom, real estate crisis. Everything goes down the drain, 38% loss in the market. You go back to the $278,000 that you were at before. It's pretty sad. In the finance world, we call it the lost decade. You didn't do anything, basically, right? And then you waited for that to bounce back. It did. 2009, 23%, then 12%. Stayed flat on 2011, 13%, 29% on 2013. By 2014, we are back to $545,000. Okay, we see some green light. Some light at the end of the tunnel, finally. $45,000 in my pocket. That is me staying in the market from 2000 all the way to 2013, 14 years. That's a heck of a ride. Okay, some of you went through it with your 401ks, with your 403bs, with your 457s. You don't remember this thing. You want to know why? Because you never looked at that 401k, that 403b, or that 457. That was money that you couldn't touch. Since you couldn't touch it, it didn't really matter. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It's okay. I'll take it whenever I take it. 2013, I'm sorry. Continue to grow on 2014, 2015, almost flat, 2016 positive, 2017 positive, 2018, we hit a little turbulence there, right? 2019, 2020, and 2020, market went down 30% and bounced back and ended up positive, by the way, 16% on that year, just so you guys know. Okay, that was the COVID year. Okay, 2021 was amazing, 26.8%. By that time, my money was $1,300,000. Now, 2022 comes by and takes some of those gains away and puts us down from $1,300,000 to $1,090,000. Okay? So not bad for a ride. I mean, if you were 60 and you're now 82, you pretty much doubled your money. It's not bad, is it? Now, let's say that you wanted to play it safer, not be so greedy to get those 26, 28% years, and you just wanted to stick with the 10. I'm okay with that 10, right? What would happen there is that the first 3 years that there were losses, what happened to your money? You did not lose money. Now, you still got impatient with your advisor, though. Your advisor still had to deal with you because you were coming and saying, I got $500,000 in here. It doesn't grow any. I have money in the real estate. My real estate money is growing amazing. My bonds are paying X, Y, and Z, and so on and so forth, And then we have to have that tough conversation with the clients and be like, I know. I'm sorry. You didn't lose money. You're not right. It's not growing. I understand. But we saved you 10, 13, 23%. How much is that? 46% in losses. That's not money that we, made you, but that's money that you didn't lose. Compared to your neighbor over here, which is down to $288,000, you still have your $500,000. Not bad, I will say, Then positive years come after that crisis. 26% up, 8% up, 3% up, 13% up, 3% up. On the years that I'm above that 10.5, I'm only going to make 10.5. On the years that I'm still under the 10.5, I'm making that 8% or 3%, right? By 2008, when the crisis hits, my account is $709,000. 2008 hits. My neighbor is back on 278,000, and you stay at 709,000. but you still come and complain. Because that year you didn't make a penny. How can I have $700,000, Miguel, and it doesn't make me $1? It is. It works that way, though. I have those conversations, and then I have to go and backtrack all this information and explain to you what happened. And then you'll be like, okay, yeah, you haven't done a good job this year. I'll take it because of the previous years. Let's move on to the next year, okay? Now, 709,000 continue to go up 23%, 12%, stays flat and so on and so forth. By 2018, when we had that rocky year, it's about $1.4 million. By 2021, right before the pandemic, it's about $1.9 million. Yeah, $1.909. I think that this one didn't count the 15% loss. Yeah, it didn't count the 15% loss. I just noticed that. Okay? It's almost $2 million. Double what the market did. Why is that? Yeah, double what the market did, right? Why is that, guys? Sometimes it's not about gaining more, guys. Sometimes it's about being safe and not losing what you have. It's a simple concept. But some people are in this mindset where I want to make more. Sometimes it's, hey, you know what? Let's just slow down. Let's pace ourselves. Let's be collected and save whatever we made. And that's a strategy. What do we recommend at Guerra Financial? I'm showing you both sides of the story because at Guerra Financial, we don't just tell you stick with this. We tell you diversify. I told you the story of the 3 buckets because you should be playing in 3 buckets. You shouldn't be playing in one, just one. Maybe at times you might concentrate most of your money in one because it's a rocky period. But most of the time you should have investments in the 3 buckets. They have a purpose. Okay? Consult with your advisor. Hey, how much should I have in my growth bucket? Is it a good time for me to put more money in there? Or should I move more money? I have some clients that are great at this, which is listening. And when we tell them, hey, your money has grown enough on this side, let's put some money in here, they say, let's do it. And they understand that. And we did that with some clients on 2021, and it paid off. Whatever they capitalized on gains on the market, they put it on this side and they saved it. There were some other clients that said, you know what, nope, market is rallying, let it be. The market went down and then we hurt, Now, that is for a person that has all the time or doesn't want to use that money or is never going to use that money. But let's talk about a person that retires and now has to get access to this money, right? Because when you do retire, you're going to have to collect some money. Even if you don't want to collect some money, you still have to take your RMDs, required minimum distributions. At what age? 73 now.
73?
So they moved it, yes. If you were here in the last seminar, I said that before, but if you weren't here, I'll tell you. RMDs, required minimum distributions, used to be 70 and a half back in 2019, okay? In 2019, in December of 2019, they changed to 72. And then this past year, they changed to 73, okay? And then they're going to change again around 2031.
But you can take out before you're 73, or you have to wait till you're 73?
No, you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to take money before 73 if you don't want to touch your retirement plans.
Right.
But at 73, I recommend that you do that, that you start taking your RMD. Because otherwise, Uncle Sam, that loves you and remembers you all the time, will come and collect 25% penalty from the RMD that you didn't take. Okay? So now, in this case, in this scenario, let's call this person Joe or Guerra client, however we called it. They're going to leave that money sitting there and growing, but at 73, they're going to have to start pulling some money out, which is exactly in 2013. So in 2013, they're going to start taking $24,000 to offset that RMD.
That's the minimum
Okay.
amount based on the amount of money you have in there, right?
No, we actually did a standard amount, thinking of this person needing $2,000 additional of income at that age. But I have another one with the actual RMD, by the way. I can calculate that for you. That was for the tax seminar. You guys can come back to the tax seminar sometime. I'd love to see you here. I think you'll have fun. Now, let's do the $24,000 for every year thereafter until 2022. If they're taking $24,000 every year thereafter, what they end up with, you remember the number that used to be here?
Million.
It was about $1 million, $1,090,000.
Yes.
Now it turns out to be $745,000. But then they have taken $24,000 from 2013 to 2022, about 9 years. That's not bad. Still good, you know? The good portion of this is that there was no so many negatives in here. The losses weren't heavy. But guess what? What if you're applying this concept and you're withdrawing money from a bucket where when the market goes down, you're not losing money? Because what happens in this bucket is that you not only lose the money that the market lost you, but you're also taking potential growth every time that you take money out, right? So think about this. If you have $100,000 and the market goes down 20%, how much do you have now? 80,000. And if you take another 20,000 for your expenses, how much do you have now? 60,000. For 60,000 to go back to 100,000, how much is that? It's almost 100%, right? It's about 80, 75% that you have to gain to get back to that 100. Now, well, we just saw what happens. It takes time. Now, if you're taking money and you have your principal protected, what happens is the following. You're still taking the same $24,000 since 2013, but every year that the market lost money, you didn't lose money, you just took money out. So you did take some potential for growth, but you didn't take the loss. Because you didn't take the loss, you end up still having about $1.582 million in that bucket. You know, not only you will be happy, but I'm pretty sure your kids will. Because they're going to inherit that money,
That is the
right?
fun part.
So that's the power of using those strategies. Now, does that apply to everybody? Not necessarily. It depends on your situation. You should meet with an advisor. Discuss what's happening. What are your objectives? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Hey, I want to be in the stocks more. Hey, I want to be a little bit more aggressive. Fine, let's see why and how much, right?
I have a question for you. What's the
Yes.
minimum age that you can open an account to your kids?
The minimum age that you can open an account for your kids. So there are some accounts that are called UTMA accounts, Uniform Transfer Minor Account. Okay? Those accounts you could open at any age. And in those accounts, you will be the custodian because you're the adult, but the money belongs to the kid though. So the account
When they turn
is
18, right?
when they turn 21 in Florida, which is majority of age here. So when they turn 21,
What to do with
exactly. So when they turn 21, that money will go to them. And they can do whatever they want with. Nope, it's 21 for that matter.
That's even better, yeah. It
Yeah.
should be 25.
So,
21.
They should be
Right
10.
now, so we've
So-
because that guy is
okay, so
generation.
when
X,
I tell
skill
tell
with sport.
right, so when I tell clients if you open up an UTMA account for your kid, your grandkid, whoever your nephew or niece, whoever you chose to open up that account, make sure that you teach them about money. Make sure that you teach them about investing. Make sure that by the time that they're gonna get their hands on the money, they do have a good head on their shoulders about money. Not necessarily a school or anything else, but at least about money. Because if they don't, then they're gonna blow through it. You guys know that. We know that. Now, does it take time to teach them about money? Yes, it does. It does take time. Small concepts. I would tell you bring them all to me, but I can't teach them all. Now, some kids, older kids that are already working, making money, So they're not, kids anymore, but to you guys, they're kids. I don't know why. Some of them, they do become our clients. And they do get all these concepts at an early age. Think of yourself when you were 20 or 25, knowing whatever you know today about money. Let's not talk about the rest of, things, because obviously there's a lot more to learn, in life. But if you knew concepts about money and you knew how money worked, wouldn't you be better off than what you are today?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know that for a fact.
They are teaching financial literacy in 8th grade, because I teach in middle school, and they're teaching it through social studies. So I teach science and social studies, and we have people that come in. I do the curriculum, but I do have people, so you guys can go talk to kids.
Of course, yes, we can. I wish I had all the time to do that. But we can set something up, by the way. If you invite us, we do. We do because we want to cause impact. We want to cause impact in the community. And we do already go and talk to teachers. And we do already go talk to doctors. And we do already go talk to the adults. That even being adults still don't pay attention to these things, but somehow we're still there knocking their door, because most people do need some planning for retirement. Okay? I'm going to wrap it up with this. I think everyone got a little folder. Okay? Oh, there's a question. There's a question here.
No QR there.
Yeah.
The QR is not on the folder.
I do have a question here. I do have two questions, actually. I have two questions here. One question was from Rita. It was, what's the average fee to the Guerra Financial, to Guerra Financial Management for the portfolio? Okay? So the fee varies. Depends on the amount of money that we manage for you, because it does vary, right? But it could go from 0.25 to 1.25. Okay, usually the average in the industry is about a 1% annual fee. Okay, and that fee doesn't get charged one time a year; it gets charged monthly from that investment account. So it is about 0.083% of the value of the account at the end of the month. Okay, at the end of the month. Just quick question from someone. Alex Berenger was asking, the 10.5 limit stays the same throughout the life of the account, or can it vary? Can it change? It depends on the company. Some companies do have caps that stay put for the time frame of that annuity. Some companies do have the ability to change that 10.5 to an 8% or 11%, depending on the circumstances or the current situation on interest rates. Okay, most of them do vary, Alex. Most of them do vary, but there are some that do lock that that number for the term of the contract. Okay, sometimes they do charge you a fee to lock that number, so that's important to know. But I will say to Alex, Rita, whoever wants to talk to us, you guys can reach out. You guys can click on the links that you got and make an appointment with us. We work in person. We also work through Zoom. Yeah, for you guys that are here, if you're a client and you want to check up with one of us, one of the advisors, I know you all love me and you want to meet with me, but we got another 6 guys, amazing guys. Some of you love Sebastian. Some of you love Mauro. Some of you have worked with Eric. Some of you have worked with Jimmy, or Tyler, or Miguel, the other Miguel, the second version, the 2.0, I call it. Younger, better looking, a little smarter. I trained him. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Yeah, he's amazing. So we got a great team. We got a great team of advisors. We keep growing. We keep growing our team. Our support team is great. And if you want to check on your account, your plan, what's going on, talk to one of us. Okay? Set up an appointment, talk to one of us. If you run into money under the mattress, maybe that too, If you have not met with us and you still want to talk to us, let us know. You should have also that yellow card to be able to fill it out. Be retirement ready, guys. It's what we preach. I'll leave you with this. Successful investing is about managing risk, not avoiding it. Okay? Managing risk, not avoiding it. You cannot avoid risk. You either take inflation risk, interest risk, market risk, right? But you're going to take some risk at some point. You can't avoid risk. You have to manage it. And that's what we do here at Guerra. Thank you for coming out tonight. I hope it was good. I think they're going to collect everything over there. Come back to the next one, though. It'll be fun. I promise.
Miguel, what's your last name?
Castañeda.
Okay.
Castane. Yeah, Castañeda. Yeah.
I work with Debbie White.
Oh, you work with